Yes, people, what is going on? Hope you are all good. For some reason, I'm joined by an Argentina fan, which is very weird. Cameron, how are we? We are reviewing the game last night. What a game it was.
It was all right.
It was a good game. It was a decent game of football.
It was a decent game of football. It was for me, it's very chess match where they're trying to move the pieces around, which is fine. But then after that first water break, I thought France was just poor. And, Spain managed to get their goal with a breakthrough at the penalty just beforehand as well. And it just completely changed the game. France looked like they'd been just hit, like they didn't know what to do with themselves. And Spain were just really comfortable then for the rest of the game, I felt. And it was just like, then they got their second goal after a nice 1-2 in the second half. And then, France offered nothing for me in this game. And, they're just very poor.
My question to you, Cameron, because I do agree they offered nothing in the game, and they were suffocated by Spain. I thought the Spanish defensive unit dealt really well with everything that this French team has to offer. But that is exactly my point. Do you not think that this France team was just very much forward-thinking, very much go on the attack? I put a message into my friends in the group chat yesterday, and I said, I don't actually think this France team's that good. And I actually don't think that we were talking about Didier Deschamps and about how he is as a manager and whether we would have him in the Premier League for our clubs. And I just turned around and said, I don't think I would, because I don't feel like he actually tactically did anything in the game to change it up, to do anything different. I don't think he's done anything tactically all tournament. I think he's just got away with the fact that they press really high, they win the ball back, and normally the front 4, 5, 6 go and win the game for them. But actually, Spain, when they counteracted that, they just left France with absolutely nothing, and it seemed as if they had absolutely no game plan after they went behind. It was almost as if they sort of expected to steamroll everyone, which is why I've always had my slight doubts about this France team.
Yeah, I agree. I think, no tactics or just putting your best players on the pitch can go so far. But then you were saying there, like, the French like to press, and then you're up against Spain, who over the last 10, 20 years have always had midfielders who can beat the press very easily. Busquets is one. Now we have Rodri in this kind of Spanish team. But it's like they would have known that beforehand. The Spanish have always been very good on the ball, very good at passing, very good at keeping it simple. Why don't you just go around and be like, okay, we're going to play defensive and we're just going to go counter-attack because we know we've got the pace on them. Very simple. And it's like, hindsight's great, but then it's like, that would have worked because we've seen in moments during the game Barcola was outpacing Porro, and Mbappe would have had, and Dembele would have had the pace of Cucurella on the other side. So why couldn't you have done that? And then it's like, obviously, they're trying to deal with Yamal, who I thought was still fairly quiet up until the second half.
Yeah, I'll agree with that, yeah.
But then that was also a case of they know they're 2-0 up now, so he can express himself a bit more, have a bit more fun. And try and do what he wants a bit more rather than, trying to play the tactics that Spain were doing, which was just look after the ball, limit France in possession. Whenever Mbappe or one of their attacking goal, we squeeze, make sure they can't go anywhere. And I thought they did play really well, Spain, and they deserved to be in the final. But France, it was just very lackluster. They didn't seem up for a semi-final of a World Cup, which is odd to say.
I do agree, and I do think that they didn't feel up for it. I don't feel. I feel tactically they were poor, but I do also think the big part of it that comes into the factor and into play is the fact of, again, I think it is sort of slightly. I will say it is. I think it was arrogance. Actually, I think everyone really did sort of assume that this France team was very, very good, and they've been scoring goals for fun, but I think it's very easy, and I think it's one of the things that's very obvious about this World Cup, is even when we were doing our sort of combined 11s and different things, everything in this tournament is always about scoring goals. Everything has been about scoring goals. But actually, when you're in a tournament with 48 teams, and I know obviously FIFA are now talking about extending it to 64, that's a whole different conversation for another time. Long story short, I don't think it's a good idea. But if you're now talking about all these games coming into play and about, the 2 Golden Boot leaders have both got 8 goals, everything was just so focused on scoring goals that I actually think that France probably believed, well, we have scored the most goals in this competition, so why wouldn't we? Obviously, we're going to go on and, carry through and whatever. But I just think it doesn't make a lot of sense. Not totally, but I don't think it makes a lot of sense when you're going up against a team who in previous years, Spain have battered France. You know, like I can't remember what year it was. It wasn't too long ago, but it was 5-1. The squad isn't that different, you know, from that 5-1 game. I don't know exactly player for player. I haven't looked into it, but you know, when you get beaten 5-1 by a team, you have to go and give them respect, and you come up against them again. That's where you've got to go and try and work it through. I think I heard the commentator yesterday say that it was 3 summers in a row where the French have broken Spanish have broken French hearts. You know, whether that be in the Euros, whether that be, I assume it was the Nations League last year, or some, you know, again, obviously this tournament. But it just seems very arrogant, I think, of when you go, yeah, we're scoring goals, we're going to be absolutely fine, to actually not go, hang on, that's a proper football team, Spain, because they defend, they play good football, they play well. They haven't been great at this tournament in terms of scoring goals and being free-flowing, but I think that's not been great at this tournament based off of what we've seen from other teams, and other teams' strength is all in attack. Everyone's talking about going forward, and everyone's talking about scoring goals. Actually, the best defence in this won the game. And, I mean, there's a classic American football phrase, which we will throw out there because we are talking about an American World Cup, but it is defence wins championships. And that's a big thing, you know, talking even about the England-Argentina game, which we will very briefly mention afterwards. But it just seems as if it is a case of, you know, from where I'm sitting, it just seems very much it's a case of actually France did not appreciate and did not... They did not respect the opposition they were going up against, and actually that is the thing that has come back to bite them on the backside, whether that be Deschamps, whether it be Mbappe, whether it be fans, whether it be even the casual fan who's just assumed that France was going to go and win this tournament. They haven't actually done anything that has really shown us that they are a good football team. They've only ever shown us they score goals.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. It's just that their attack is very scary. Always has been. You look at it on paper and you think brilliant, but then the rest of the team, like Tchouaméni's had a poor season at Real Madrid.
Should never have started. By the way,
no,
shouldn't have
Kone
played
should have
yesterday.
carried on playing.
You could see him. Even my missus, I was watching the game with her for 3 minutes, and I turned around and said, "Look at Tchouaméni. What's wrong with him?" I said, "Who's that? Number 8?" And he's walking with a limp. 25 minutes in, and my girlfriend knows nothing about football. And even she went, "That's not right."
Yeah,
not in the World Cup semi-final, mate.
And then I'm looking at the rest of it as like that. Koundé fine. Upamecano has his mistakes in him, but is overall a very good central defender. Saliba got injured,
that was unfortunate.
It was
that was very
unfortunate, but it's also not a surprise because he is a bit injury prone. Digne, I've never liked him. I've never thought he was a good left back.
I think he has a use, but that's not a French national team starting left back.
Yeah, and then Mike Maignan good, and then Rabiot confuses me all the time. Like sometimes he's great, sometimes he just gets lost and gets his head like all fired up and stuff, and it's like you're kind of thinking it's like what England have been doing. I think this would be a nice transition. It's like England.
Yeah, go on, we'll go for that.
England have picked a team rather than just the best individuals, which has worked for us so far. Yes, I'm wearing an Argentina top, but we'll move past that. That was more just to annoy you.
Yeah, fine. I knew that was coming.
Yeah, but it's like England have worked really well as a team. Yes, there's been loads of questions about, say, Jed Spence being picked, or bringing Henderson, or why is he starting? Gahey and Stones rather than there's a lot of question marks like why is Anderson playing, why didn't he bring Foden, loads of questions about the team. But then you're actually watching us play thinking they're all together, they're all defending well, they're all working for each other, which is similar to what Spain's been doing and similar to what Argentina's been doing. Even though they haven't got the best player for player all over the pitch like they once did, they've had to figure out, okay, we need to just make sure everyone's fighting for each other, everyone's got a role to do, and that's what's working well. France, we saw it last night. It was just a case of get to the attackers and they'll score.
Yeah, that was what I saw essentially. Yeah, and I'm going to round off this section, but I am going to ask you just a quick question because, I mean, we are obviously now going into a second semi-final, which we are about to talk about in a minute. But France will play in the third place game. Yeah. My question to you is, based off of what you've seen from the semi-final yesterday, do you think this France team actually will have enough to beat England or Argentina? Or do you think this is just going to be one of these things where actually what has happened with the French throughout this tournament, getting away with murder, and then finding out that you can't get away with murder? Do you feel like that could happen again, or do you feel this France team will then just go and push on, get back to where it was, and just try and win the game doing what they've been doing all tournament?
But I think it's also, you've got to look at the motivation. No one wants to play in a third place game, so you also got to think about that as well.
We'll come on. I'll come on to that very briefly afterwards, because that is a very, very good point, actually. We will come on to that.
But
England, Argentina, just to sort of round it off for this, because I do want to come back to that point about the third place game. England, Argentina, what do you feel for it? Obviously, only a couple of hours now to go before the game. We obviously know who the referee is, which is one that I think a few people are very worried about in terms of an England point of view. But I think this England team has got enough, and I do think that we can beat them.
I do think so as well. Like Argentina, you're watching them this whole tournament. They've had a very easy group on paper, and they walked it quite easily. Then they got to the round of 32, could have gone out to Cape Verde. Then they get to the round of 16, could have gone out to Egypt. Then they get to the Swiss.
Probably should have gone out to Egypt. I think we can all probably say probably should have gone out. Obviously, there's other factors in that as well.
Then the Switzerland game. The second half, Switzerland were all over him, got their goal, and Mbappe got one of the dumbest red cards I think I've ever seen.
Yes, agreed. But again, completely deserved it. I mean, he did definitely let Switzerland and that team down, 100%. We're not going to argue with that. But I do agree, they haven't been great, Argentina.
No, they haven't been great. It's like they're scoring goals. They've scored 3 goals in all of their knockout games so far. Now they're playing against a team who is in the top 10 rankings, who can be defensively sound when they are in that setup. I think it's going to be very difficult for Argentina to actually break England down. And it's like we've seen the players we've had, all of them's got a different use. It's like if we decide to start Dan Burn, for example, now this evening, we're thinking, he's in there to stop crosses and just to physically be stronger. But then also in the offensive side, Martinez is small for a centre half. Romero is also, we've seen in the Premier League, red card always in his head and stuff, which is what
bit of a calamity, shall we say? A little bit of a calamity. Just a little bit. But can be a great player on his day. Can be very good on his day.
But I think knowing that, we need to bully them, because they are a smaller team on paper. And then just have, I would love Bellingham just to be in Romero's ear the whole game and just wait for him to hit him. I would absolutely love it, because
I don't hate that as a logic at all. I don't hate that.
Yeah, it's just start learning your Spanish swear words. He probably already knows quite a few. Maybe find
a few. I'm sure he's got a few in the locker.
Find out what Romero's missus' name is. Call her, something not nice. Figure out if he has any kids. Say some horrible stuff.
But it's play the game. Like I hate to say it. I mean, England are very good at being good losers. I saw Mark Goldbridge say it yesterday. England are very good at being good losers. I don't want to be a good loser. I want to go and win this competition. I want to go and win this game, get through to a World Cup final, first time in my lifetime, and go and, get on the front foot. And that is exactly what England should do. Forget everything about Argentina already in the rivalry that has been. Player for player, we should back ourselves against them. But with all the historical element as well, this game cannot go the way of Argentina. But it does move me back onto the original question that I was going to ask you as we transitioned over. The question I have is now about the Golden Boot.
Yeah.
Because we're hoping, obviously, in England point of view, we're hoping that England go through. And if England do go through, it sets up the possibility of Messi versus Mbappe in the third place game in Miami. And that game could essentially be for the Golden Boot. Now, I know we were saying about what the motivations are for these teams after going out, which is obviously a very difficult thing. I mean, you look at, I remember England in the third place game, what was it now, 8 years ago in 2018, fielded the best team that we had, that we could have basically put out there, given how the tournament had gone and injuries and different things. And we just got battered by, Belgium, who went for it. Could you see a world actually where this third place game is as good as a World Cup final because of the fact you've got Kylian Mbappe and Lionel Messi potentially both going for the Golden Boot, and it's their last chance to get on the score sheet. Messi could be his last time to get on the score sheet in a World Cup ever.
Yeah, I think if it gets down to that, if Messi doesn't score against England today, I think it would come down to that as part of it. But I also think it is, I think I said already, like, it's hard to motivate yourself for a third place game knowing that you should have been playing in the World Cup final the day after.
Yes, I do agree, but I wonder if, again, maybe just because that's why was my question. I feel like the France team would be less likely to go and get round Mbappe for a third place game, but I feel very much like Argentina would get round Lionel Messi to give him a decent send off. If you see what I mean. So
yes,
I'm not 100% sold on this France team now, but again, with that with the Golden Boot element, it just throws that little bit of uncertainty into my mind. So what do you think in terms of that? Do you think, in terms of a Golden Boot, I think the likelihood is now that Mbappe will probably be out of the race unless he scores in the third place game, because they all count exactly the same. Do you think Messi will go and get a goal against England tonight? Because if he does, it puts him at the forefront. That might be enough to go and get him through. Who knows? I mean, it's a very, very tight race in this Golden Boot.
Yeah, he could score tonight, but then Bellingham could also score a hat-trick and then put himself on top as well, which is what we'd all want to see.
Hey, we could win 6-0. They could both get a hat-trick each, and all of a sudden we are top of the Golden Boot with 1 and 2. Who knows? We're through to a World Cup final. That would be fantastic. But it's never going to happen.
Yeah, I want to see what the odds
never
are
in a
for
million
that.
years. Oh yeah, I'll put the house on it if it came in. Could you imagine?
Oh my God,
but
yeah.
that is going to be
that came in.
Yeah, maybe let's get to renting first. Let's do that. But that is going to be it from us. Cameron, thank you very much for joining me. Obviously, massive game come out tonight. Make sure you let us know where you're watching it and if England are going to do it and make it to only their second World Cup final in history. The first one didn't end too badly. Come on, England.